Hey there, everybody. I'm not working on the Mustang today. It's back there. I can't zoom. Back there under tarp, under a little canopy. I was working on it yesterday, getting some stuff done. Working on a video for that. The cowl, lower cowl replacement at issues. But since it's raining corn cats and dogs, I've got something else I'm going to work on today. So I have an old Harbor Freight 12-ton press, and I picked it up on the old FB marketplace. There, it is cracked between the cylinder and the base, the housing there at the bottom, and so it leaks fluid everywhere. And I've just kind of gotten tired of it. So I've got to take that off. I picked up this old gem from the old HF as well. So I'm going to outfit that onto this. That means I got to take these out, mark holes, and drill holes, and yeah. And then I have something else. I'm gonna steal this idea from a buddy of mine. I'm gonna cut that sucker off. Put a 1-inch. I'll get some grade 8 stuff. I will weld a 1-inch nut here, and then have various lengths of 1-inch bolts that I can thread up into that nut and use for my ram for the press. So that I'm gonna steal his idea, and I'm hopefully going to accomplish that. All right, so I used my level and a square to try to figure out exactly where this base plate of the press needs to be lined up with the base plate of the jack. And what I am finding is that the holes are not going to be usable. I've got the valve right there. Here, the small cylinder is a little too close to that hole. So it looks like I might be trying to devise a clamping system that can clamp maybe corner here to the base plate. I got to think, or I'll just re-drill new holes in both the base plate. Well, both base plates. I could just do that, which would probably be easier than devising a clamping system. And then drill and tap this base plate so I could send some bolts down through the top. So after lining up the base plate of the press onto the base plate of the bottle jack, and doing some squares and levelings and making sure that my ram is centered on my jack, piston, and whatnot. I made some marks with some marker there. And then this was an original hole. That was an original hole. And again, those were not going to work. I marked this with my center punch, marked this with my center punch, and went ahead and drilled. You saw me tapping those. And then I went and put an 11/32 bit in the drill press, drilled through the base plate. And those locations are in the opposite corners of where the business is going on. So again, got my piston over here on this side, small piston, I should say, the pump. Got my valve down there, so I had to avoid those two corners. So I went here, and I believe it's gonna work. Let's. So that'll be like that, I believe. Oh, look at that, they line up. Wait a minute, is that the right way? I think it's the right way. No, look at that. How about that? That one fits. Come on now. That one fits. Oh, good. So I have my jack secured. That will be that. One of the nice things I do like about this 12-ton is the adjustable piston here. So that's kind of nice. So I won't have to worry about how tall that is compared to the old one. I'll just run that up, and when the tension's off the springs here, I'll just move that back or just throw it down. That's fine. Now I've got to take that back off, cut this off, and get some hardware. That's backward. yeah, I'm going to flip that around. Pretty easy to tell right here. Yeah, that's not lined up backwards, but you get the idea. Okay, so through a series of measurements using a square and my calipers, I figured out how far the center of the piston here is from the back and from this side of the base to the center. Then I mounted that on the base plate here, and using a square measured, from the base over and base over to get a mark in the center, which should be centered with where the piston is here at the top. So the ram on the bottom should be lined up with the piston on top of the jack. I debated on whether I wanted to weld the nut here, and I went grade 5 instead of grade 8. That's what the old family farm at home had. So I thought about welding the nut to a piece of 1/4-inch stock here, 2-inch, and that would spread that force out over a larger area here to have kind of a foot for that to sit on. Because this had already been bent. I don't know if you can tell, yeah, right. It kind of dog legs right at the top of this thing. So this had already been bent by someone previously. I think I'm just going to weld it as is, because already with the nut here, that's already larger area that it's putting the force over than obviously not that much, but a little bit of a wider area. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and put that on there and just forget it. Well, there's the finished product. Got my new jack installed. I ended up cutting, I had I think a 4-inch bolt here. So that can be used as a ram, or, oh boy, or I've got the threaded end of that bolt that I had cut off. If I need a shorter ram, I can use that, and one that doesn't have a head on it. I suppose I could get a couple other bolts and make a tapered one, make a one that comes down to a point. But anyway, I believe that is finally going to get me using my press again. So if you have one and the jack's blown out on you, you put a new jack on it, or my ram was bent from somebody abusing this thing. So I stole that idea from a friend. I actually sprayed it. I had a little bit of, it's the same paint I used, the engine enamel that I used on the Mustang wheels. Metal cast gray, I think it's called, or something. Supposed to be like a cast iron color. It actually is very similar color to the press. So that'll do.